Georgia looks for their first SEC championship since 2005, which would put them one step closer to the third national championship and first since 1980, when they play Auburn on Saturday for a shot at revenge and much more. We'll take a look at the game and players to keep an eye on who will have their name called during the 2018 NFL Draft as we go one-on-one with Anthony Dasher, managing editor for UGAsports.com, covering Georgia football and part of the Rival Sports Network on the OFN Meeting Room with Greg DePalma. All right, it's November the 30th, 2017. I'm Greg DePalma. Thanks for tuning in to the OFN Meeting Room as we talk Georgia football with Anthony Dasher. Anthony, thanks for coming back to us today.
Hey, my pleasure.
All right, Anthony. So last time we spoke, we kind of figured that this day was going to come, that Georgia was going to be sitting here with a shot in the SEC championship game. Didn't know if they'd have an unblemished record or not, but fact is, one loss we knew would not keep them away from a shot at a national championship, and here they are. Is there a big difference, though, in your mind between what you might have thought about before the loss and maybe preparing for that possibility, thinking about, okay, well, if they lose this game, I think they'll still be okay, and they mathematically will be, as opposed to how the game went and how they seemed to kind of not be ready for that moment? Were they outmatched? I don't know. You tell me. So is there a different feeling after the loss compared to what you thought about if they did lose?
Well, they were obviously disappointed in that earlier loss to Auburn. They didn't play well. Credit Auburn, though. I mean, they really dominated the game on both sides of the football. They won the battle of the line of scrimmage. Was a lot more physical than Georgia was, and that was a big difference in the ball game. But that being said, though, since that contest, Georgia played again extremely well last week, and I think they're, pretty confident going into the game, on Saturday. This was in Atlanta. This is a Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's not at Jordan-Hare.
That's right.
So I think that gives them a little extra boost as well.
What about what happened as far as the line of scrimmage offensively? Is it a scheme thing? Is it just, do you think it's just a bad day? What do you think gives Georgia confidence that things will be different this time around?
Well, it was a combination of things. Again, give all the credit in the world to Auburn, especially on their defensive front. It's one of the best I think, in the SEC, maybe in all of college football. Georgia did some things that had some fundamental issues, I think, that kind of hurt their inline blocking a little bit. And again, but just give credit to Auburn. I think Georgia just has to go out and just be a more physical team. That's basically it. That's it in a nutshell. They just got to find a way to be a little bit tougher than they were last time out.
Yeah, and that's where the home advantage gets taken away from Auburn, because we all know the kids, they get hyped up at home, and you can become a stronger player, both mentally and especially physically. So you take that away from them, and then maybe Georgia will be able to up their game, and we'll see a completely different game at the line of scrimmage.
Possibly so, but the big thing, too, in this contest is the health of Kerryon Johnson, running back at Auburn. Kerryon had a heck of a game last time, rushed for 167 yards. Keith Figures on the offense the entire year. He's banged up with an injured shoulder, had not practiced all week long as we talk today. So he's not able to go or is limited. That's going to be another benefit to Georgia in this contest.
Now, if Georgia has to throw the football to win this game, what do you think about how they might be able to accomplish it this time around compared to either last time around or just based on the season in general? Because this is not obviously a pass-first team. So do they have what it takes? Do you think have you seen anything in Fromm's game since that first game that leads you to believe that they'll be able to get that done?
Oh, no doubt. I think Georgia's been very underrated as far as the passing goes. I mean, they haven't thrown for a ton of yards, but that's because the running game is so strong. And against Georgia Tech, we saw Jake complete 12 of 16 passes. I don't have my stats in front of me, but he threw for like 180 something yards, a couple of touchdowns, and he's been very effective game against Kentucky after the Auburn loss. Even the Auburn game itself, he didn't have a good percentage, 13 of 28, but he did throw for 186 yards, and there were some opportunities he had on the field that he missed some throws. Again, simply because he was not getting the time to throw that he needed to. Auburn, again, did a great job getting pressure. I think like 4 sacks in that ball game. I think 11 quarterback pressures. So, again, it's going to be up to the offensive line to give him just a little more time. That little half second difference could pay dividends if Georgia can manage that.
Yeah, well, because what I noticed too is I don't know again if it was just being number one, biggest game of the season, just a new experience for the players, or if it was just again a bad day because it just seemed like that there was a lot of mental errors that were taking place in the game, a lot of things that you were going, what are they doing? I mean, this is not what we've seen all year.
Yeah, I mean, again, the crowd noise could be a reason for some of that. But again, I hate to take away anything what Auburn did because they were just outstanding, and I think they would have beat most teams in the country that day. They just played out
Yep.
of their minds. While Georgia again did not play its best football in that game. But I think it's something that was very valuable for Jake Fromm to go through an experience like that.
Yep.
The noise, I don't think the noise really had an effect on him. It just, again, it's just the pressure was getting just causing him to miss time some throws. And that was a big reason why, Georgia didn't have the kind of success that they need. So if Georgia can make those corrections, again, there were openings in Auburn's secondary that haven't been all that strong against the pass this year that maybe they can make some more things happen this time around.
With two of the top-rated senior running backs on the roster for our lads, Chubb and Michelle, is there any way for you to gauge which one of them might have more success for whatever reason against this particular defense?
I don't know. Both guys are certainly capable. I think what you're going to see in this ball game is maybe look to Georgia, try to get the ball to him in space a little bit more, especially Sony Michelle.
Okay.
But again, it's all going to depend. Again, I kind of go back to the pass game a little bit. Georgia historically this season has been pretty conservative. I think they're going to need to try to open things up with some quick throws to the backs. Maybe some quick hitters to guys like McCole Hardman. Maybe throw to the tight ends a little more. They do that, kind of keep Auburn from stacking the box. I think you'll see both Sony Michelle and Nick Chubb have success in this contest. That's what it's going to take, I believe. I don't think you're going to line up and run that right at Auburn like they did last time.
Now, out of
tried to do last time.
yeah, out of the top-rated players for potentially for the draft, Trenton Thompson is a sixth-rated underclass prospect at defensive tackle. And then we talked about a few of these before, but Raekwon Smith, number 3 underclass prospect at inside linebacker, and we'll throw in Lorenzo Carter as well, outside linebacker, number 7 senior prospect. Out of guys like that are pretty top rated potentially for the NFL draft, is any one of those players, if you had to pick one that you think might be the type of guy that can step up even more so, be the team leader, make the most impact in this game, who would it be?
Well, Roquan has been making an impact all year long, so I'll just count him just for that because I think he's expected, and I think he will go out and have a great game. Trenton Thompson is the one, though, has not really kind of had the years I think most people were expecting. He had a little injury during the season, a shoulder injury that he had to have surgery on, and was a little bit slow coming back. Then he had a meniscus that cost him a couple of games this year, but he is a guy who we saw back in the Liberty Bowl can be quite a force at defensive tackle if he's on his game. He was the MVP of the Liberty Bowl, last January there, and has not had that kind of game. In fact, he hasn't got a sack yet this year. So he's a guy, if he could play up to his potential, could really be a big boost for Georgia's defense in this contest.
How's the mood as far as the fans are concerned? Because we know part of the reason that Mark Richt is no longer here had to do with, all right, there's a lot of winning, but we want to win some championships. Do you think that the fans are an uneasy feeling, or you tell me as far as the fan base compared to where it was just a few years ago at Richt?
Well, I think fans are very excited. Just to have this opportunity is something the team hasn't had since 2012. When they lost that great game to Alabama. It came down right to the very final play of the game. So, they're very excited. I'm not sure how many people expected Coach Martin to have them, this doorstep in just 2 years. Granted, the SEC East has been pretty weak this year, as we've seen throughout the year, but credit to Georgia for going out and doing what it needed to do to be successful. So very excited, no doubt about it. And I think if everybody would have told you, if you would have told everybody they would have had a chance of a SEC title and spot in the playoffs, everybody would have taken that in a heartbeat.
All right, now as far as all the coaching news in this conference, it's been crazy over the past couple of weeks, especially in your division. Now, Dan Mullen goes from the west to the east, so that's going to make life a little bit tougher, you would think, because Mullen's a great coach. Maybe this is something that's been long overdue for him to go to Florida, back to Florida, and then the whole Tennessee thing. First of all, with Mullen to Florida, that to me is I think there are some people who don't understand how good of a coach Dan Mullen is, and then this looks like it's a really perfect marriage.
I think so. I mean, Dan Mullen's done a great job, especially everybody knows the job he's done with quarterbacks over his career. Tim Tebow when he was there before as OC, and then of course the job he did with Dak Prescott, and this past year with Nick Fitzgerald. He's a guy who can develop quarterbacks, and that's a position if you followed Florida at all in the last few years that they've really struggled with. So for their sake, they hope that he's the answer to that, kind of get that program back on track. I don't think it'll take a whole lot because we all know Florida is such a rich state as far as recruiting goes. And Dan Mullen, I think, has proven even a situation like Mississippi State where they don't always get the top talent, he's able to get a lot of things done.
All right, and what about the Tennessee situation? Not a good week for the people at Tennessee.
It's not a good week, and apparently you got worse today. Doran, the coach of North Carolina State, turned Tennessee down apparently. So they're still looking. So that's just a complete debacle of the way that whole thing has gone down. And it's just we could talk about this probably for another 2 hours. All the missteps and everything that happened with that, but it's gonna be very interesting to see what the Vols finally wind up with.
Yeah, who knows? Because you would think that whoever is going to get that job, I mean, they're taking a chance. I mean, after the way Tennessee handled the situation, I would think they're probably not going to get the big name or anything close to the big name coach that they want. I mean, they may. And you think Norvell, the kid over at he's a kid pretty much based on the age of the other coaches in the league, but you think he would get a shot? You think that's a possibility?
We'll see. Anybody's name is a good guess right now. I mean, I'm not really sure what route they're going to ultimately go to. It could be wind up being T. Martin. In fact, I do think there's going to be somebody, I think at this point in time, with a background at Tennessee.
Okay. Somebody
who the fans can at least rally around a little bit. Because, it's going to be a difficult job to win the trust of the fan base back and everything that's happened over the last couple of years.
Yeah, because actually Norvell might actually also be somebody to keep an eye on Arkansas. Any
right.
news at all yet as far as Arkansas or some of the other jobs like?
Not really. I haven't really been. I haven't been paying that much attention to the Arkansas deal, but I know I wouldn't be surprised if they hire that coach way before Tennessee does. The way it's gone.
Okay, yeah, because right now A&M is still open.
Right.
Tennessee's open.
Sure. I mean, that's the name that's thrown out for that job, so let's be curious to see if that actually happens or not.
Yeah, that would be something. And then right now it's only Mississippi State has their coach now, Moorhead, comes over. Ole Miss, they've made it official with Matt Luke. Boy, have you ever seen anything like this in the SEC in one off season?
Not one off season. This has been. I've had to give out name tags at the media days in Hoover this July because a lot of different faces in different places.
What do you think? What's your gut tell you about the game on Saturday? What are you going to see? What are we going to see?
Well, yeah. I wish I knew more about Kerryon Johnson because I think that is the key for Auburn.
Okay.
If he's not able to go or slow, then I really like Georgia's chances in this game. But otherwise, Georgia's going to have to show they can match the physicality of Auburn, something they did not do last week. If they do that, playing a neutral site, I think Georgia can squeak this out. But if they revert back to some of those same issues that got them last time out, back on the 11th of November, it could have the same type story. So I'm going to go on record though saying it's going to be a close ball game. Go down to 4-4. I think Georgia will pull it out.
All right. Well, Anthony, best of luck watching the game, covering the game, and we look forward to having an opportunity maybe to talk to you either before their bowl game or, more importantly, maybe a playoff game.
Yes, sir. We'll do it.
Thanks, Anthony. Take care.
Yep.
All right. That's Anthony Dasher. And Anthony's the managing editor for UGA Sports, UGAsports.com. Again, the Rivals Sports Network. By the way, we are going to be talking tomorrow Auburn football as part of our college football show. So keep that in mind. We have our college football show is going to be tomorrow at, at 4 o'clock tomorrow. So our show, we're going to have 4 guests tomorrow, including our Auburn guest, Brian Matthews from Rivals. So, to me, and of course you got Rivals also. They're at least partners for something. Both Anthony and Brian Matthews covers Auburn for Rivals, so he'll be our guest at 5:30 tomorrow. We start the show at 4 with Carlos Mendez, Fort Worth Star-Telegram for TCU Athletics, and then right after that, Ryan Aber from the Oklahoman. So we're gonna talk Big 12 the first hour with Carlos and Ryan. Then Mike Huguenin's going to join us from Gridiron Now to give us a national perspective at 5. And then Brian comes on at 5:30. And in between the interviews, or if I have to wait until the very end, I'll fill in the blanks with some of the other action. But I'll try to get as much of that done with Mike at 5 o'clock, taking a look at all the big championship games, even the ones that we're not going to be able to cover on that show because, we'll have 3 guests covering 2 games. But we will have the ACC covered on Friday morning. We're going to have this show, The Meeting Room, 2 guests, Phil Kornbluth, South Carolina Radio Network for Clemson, and Gary Furman, Canesport.com publisher for the Hurricanes. So that's going to be at 10:15 a.m. We're starting with Phil, then over to Gary. So back-to-back ACC championship preview, Clemson and Miami. Coming up, if you're listening live in 45 minutes, will be Tom Fitzgerald, San Francisco Chronicle. We're going to talk Stanford, USC, Pac-12 football. And Ryan Abraham joined us a few weeks ago for USC, so that's still available on demand if you want to listen to the USC side. But that's coming up in, again, about 45 minutes if you're listening live. And by the way, if you're an NFL fan and you're listening live, we're going to have our NFL Week 13 preview show with Tony Mejia, and that's going to be coming up at 4 o'clock Eastern. So those are all the interviews we have scheduled right now. By the way, Mitch Light from Athlon will be my guest on Monday at 2 o'clock. So Mitch and I are going to wrap up everything that took place over the weekend, Friday and Saturday, the playoff matchups, the big bowl matchups, the big stories from the weekend, everything going on, the coaching updates. Mitch Light and I will talk about it 2 o'clock on OFN Weekend Review. So that'll be an earlier start time for that show, and we're going to do that to make sure we get it in early. I'm sure everybody's going to be chomping on the bit to talk college football, probably as early as Sunday, of course, but we'll be preoccupied with the NFL a little bit. And by the way, Chris Dufresne's going to join us from the Media Guides. He'll be with us on the day before, which is the 15th, the day before the bowl games start. Chris Dufresne is going to help me to preview the bowl season and also get his take on the playoffs. So bottom line, we have a lot of guests that are going to be coming on here on the Our Football Radio Network real soon. Well, we've already had them this week. It's a busy week, and it's going to continue to be a busy week, as it's, I guess you can call it championship week also here on the Our Lads Football Radio Network. So once again, thanks to Anthony Dasher, managing editor for UGAsports.com. And if you want the best college football depth charts in the industry, that's why you go here to ourlads.com. Also, the place for the NFL draft. We're going to have the NFL draft guide coming out in a few months. We're going to have draft shows with Dan Shonka coming up real soon. So stay tuned for that. But we still have a season to get through in college football right here on the Our Lads Football Radio Network. We'll see you next time.